Hey guys, in today's video, I am going to give you a full start to finish feral guide. This guide is going to be centered around basically single target play, arena, 2v2, 3v3, and I'm also going to be giving you a comprehensive rundown on how our abilities work, some of the interactions that people may not know, and just general things that you need to know about feral druid that you may not otherwise. I did have a very comprehensive video on this previously, but it was made so long ago that I just don't know how much of it is still relevant. It's a very long video, and chances are this is also going to be a very long video. So there will be timestamps if you want to skip through some stuff. But first of all, let's go through our abilities and what makes feral unique. So feral, we obviously have many different forms that have many different applications. It's one of the reasons that we as feral druids have more fun than everyone else. In all honesty, I played every class and feral is just so much more fun. Now, we have a few things that make us stand out from other people, and those things also revolve around the different forms that we are in. We have quite a few defensives. We have Frenzied Regeneration. We have Entangling Roots, which is a CC, but it's also a defensive for getting away. We have Barkskin. We have, Heals. We have Swift Mend. We have Renewal. We have so many defensives. And okay, well, let's just go through some of the main ones that are on my bars. So Adaptive Swarm. So people who played Shadowlands will know Adaptive Swarm. It was a legendary for the Necrolords, and it is now part of our talents. It is a critical part of the rotation because it increases the effectiveness of your periodic effects by up to 25%. Some little known interactions that people don't know about. Maybe they do. Maybe I'm just assuming people don't know things, but they do. It actually works on HOTS on yourself, which is obvious, but some people don't know that it actually affects your Frenzied Regen. That is a very bad time to get that weak Aura's error. But it actually affects Frenzied Regeneration, which will make you heal more. So keep an eye on yourself. If you can try and pop Frenzy Regen when you have Adaptive Swarm, don't go out of your way to put it on yourself. But if you're getting to low HP and you notice that your Adaptive Swarm is about to bounce to someone else, that might be a good time to shift and to use it. Entangling Roots is one of our staple abilities that is not used enough. And when we have our Predator's Swiftness popped, where is it? Geez, I'm not very prepared for this. Well, anyways, Predator Swiftness, when we use our combo points, we have a chance to get either an instant cast Regrowth or an instant cast Entangling Roots. Entangling Roots is very powerful when used against melee who just can't do anything when they're in roots. So instead of wasting those charges, think about how you could potentially be using your roots a little bit more. Now we have Mighty Bash. So Mighty Bash, and we have our Rake Stun, and we also have our Maim Stun. Now, something that people do not know about these abilities is that Mighty Bash has a longer GCD than our other stuns do. So Rake and Maim are on a 0.5 GCD, whereas Mighty Bash is on a 1 second GCD. So sometimes I see people using Mighty Bash in their rotation, but actually it sometimes is not the right choice. Sometimes using the combo points and using Maim is going to be a better choice. We have now in Dragonflight got access to Renewal. So Renewal instantly heals you for 30% of your maximum health. And obviously when you're in bear form, your maximum health is a lot higher and that heal will do a lot more. So that's not to say go into bear form every time you're going to be in Renewal. But just keep that in mind. If you have the opportunity, if it's not going to be a damage loss, then going into bear form and using Renewal is going to be the best option. Now, Feral Druid is a class that is based around bleeds. All of our pressure comes from bleeds, and not having our bleeds and dots up is a massive DPS loss. Okay, so if you're someone who's in the habit of, you know, trying to get as many shreds or trying as many brutal slashes out, but you don't have your dots up, that is an automatic DPS loss. Your number one priority is always going to be keeping your bleeds up. The reason that is because in our talent builds, everything revolves around bleeds, and all of our modifiers are on our bleeds. We have Circle of Life and Death, which increases the time, or reduces the time it takes for bleeds to take effect. We have Soul of the Forest, which increases our rip damage. We have Rip and Tear, which increases our rip damage. We have Berserk Frenzy, which increases bleeds, combo point generating bleeds. Dreadful Bleeding, which increases rip damage. Over on this side, we have Raging Fury, Tiger's Fury increase, Blood Talons, Adaptive Swarm. That everything is based around bleeds. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Your number one priority is always going to be keeping up your bleeds. Now we're going to be talking about stat priority, because in the community there's been differing opinions, and of course mine is not, you know, 100% correct. It might not be 100% correct. It's just what I think and what I feel. I still think, in my heart of hearts, that versatility and mastery are going to be our main stats. Mastery blends in so well with our talent tree. It blends in. It's a no-brainer. It's not like there's any condition where it might do this, it might do that. No, it's 100% going to increase your bleeds by X amount. Now, the conversation of haste has come up quite a lot. Haste is a really good stat and is actually very, very close to mastery, if not the exact same. The reason you might want to go a haste build is that haste reduces the global cooldown. It makes your bleeds tick faster. And it does one other thing. It increases your energy regen as well. So it can make your kind of your rotation flow a little bit smoother. I feel like that once you have about 12 to 14%, that you lose any clunkiness from having haste below that threshold. So for me, the sweet spot is going to be a minimum of about 12%. Keep in mind that I don't have war mode on, so when I'm actually in a BG or an arena, my haste sits around 14 or 15%, and it feels very, very smooth. Now I want to talk to you a little bit about how rotation has changed since Shadowlands and in Dragonflight. Now, in Dragonflight, we now have access to Blood Talons, as well as having access to Feral Frenzy and Circle of Life and Death. So, you know, previously we wouldn't have had access to all of these at the same time. So the rotation has changed a little bit. Now, from stealth, we are going to be using Tiger's Fury. Then we're going to go into Rake. Then we're going to Moonfire. Then Adaptive Swarm, Feral Frenzy, and then, follow it up with a Rip, going into Berserk, and then as many shreds and bites as we possibly can. Now, the question has popped up to me quite a lot recently. Why do we use Tiger's Fury from stealth? Why are we not capitalizing on the fact that it gives us energy back? Well, there are a lot of abilities in the game, and a lot of them are retroactive, which means, say for example, a Warlock has all of his dots up, and then he pops Dark Soul. They're all going to get access to that haste. It will make those current dots tick faster. Tiger's Fury does not work the same. Tiger's Fury will not go back and make dots that you had previously applied do more damage. So if you Rake and then Tiger's Fury, that Rake will not get that damage boost. So that damage boost from Rake is going to be a lot more valuable than Tiger's Fury energy will be. Okay, because energy is not really an issue for us. So let's play it through. We'll go nice and slow and talk through this. So we're going to Tiger's Fury, then we're going to Rake, we're going to Moonfire, Adaptive Swarm, Feral Frenzy, Rip, and then at this point we're going to start Berserking, and then Shredding and Ferocious Biting. Another question I get quite a lot is, when do I use Shred and when do I use Brutal Slash? Well, Brutal Slash is on a faster global cooldown than Shred is. it costs less energy than Shred does. And outside of stealth kind of I don't know, guess I don't know how to say it, but when you're in stealth, Shred does more damage. Outside of that, Brutal Slash is always going to be better. The times that we will use Shred is 1, when Brutal Slash is out of charges, 2, when Berserk is up. Those are the only 2 times that we're ever going to use Shred over Brutal Slash. It's pretty easy. So basically in stealthed scenarios, you're going to use Shred over that. Now, I think that pretty much sums up rotation. I'll talk you through this build very quickly, and then you guys can be on your way. I don't want to complicate this too much. So in my previous iteration of builds that you may have seen, you would have seen that we had Primal Wrath in that build, and we also had Double Clawed Rake. These 2 talents are very beneficial when you have 3 or more targets to hit. However, in 2v2, there's not going to be more than 3 targets. And in 3v3, there's rarely a time where you're not going to be trying to CC the healer. You can also make a few changes in this build if you need to pick up Cyclone. If you wanted to pick up Cyclone, you could drop Astral Influence. You could drop down here, and then, you know, basically just change your talents around to pick it up like that. When you would take Cyclone is when you're not going to be the target. I've taken this Astral Influence over the over Cyclone because I've pretty much more or less always been the target so far. If this changes for any reason, I'll probably start taking Cyclone a little bit more. And in Arena, you know, I probably will need Cyclone a little bit more. So, you know, the season still hasn't launched. So I would say it's probably, you know, you can go either or. If you're attached to Cyclone, which, you know, rightfully you should be, you can just play Cyclone and, you know, be on your way. Now, another thing that I want to talk about, which is massive, is Berserk Frenzy. So during Berserk, your combo points generate additional bleeds of up to 125% of the damage over 8 seconds. Now, normally, in previous, basically in Shadowlands, we would normally not use our Feral Frenzy Go at the same time we use our Berserk Go. But now that Berserk has this this talent attached to it, it actually makes it very beneficial for burst targeting. Of course, that means that your second go is going to be quite underpowered in comparison, but our finishing power with this has increased quite a lot, and that talent now blends in very well with Adaptive Swarm. So if you watched my previous guide, please keep in note that that is a multi-target guide. It is a spread pressure guide. It is a battleground guide. This is what you need to be focusing on if you want to succeed in Arena. Now, another question I got in my 9.1 guide, which was a long time ago, is when should you go bear form? Well, simple answer is you should go bear form when you are taking too much damage and you're gonna die. Okay, if you're sitting in cat form and you have already used bark skin, you've already used survival instincts, and you're sitting at 50%, that is a good time to go bear form. Okay, bear form obviously increases our armor and increases our health. We get frenzied regeneration in bear form, but for the most part, I will be the first one to admit that I am someone who has fairly poor bear form habits, and I get into bear form far too quickly and lose a lot of damage. So in best case scenario, you're going to be able to, you know, have your bleeds up and then go into bear form so that you're not losing too much damage. So I'm obviously still doing a lot of damage while I'm in bear form here. If you're going straight into bear form, no dots up, no damage, you're pretty much just going to lose all pressure. So keep that in mind. If you are not putting out consistent damage, they are not going to have a reason to pull back. They're just going to keep pushing onto you and kill you. So yeah, if you sit in bear form too long, it's not a good thing. I guess I'll talk a little bit now about defensives and when to use them. So something like Survival Instincts, which reduces all damage you take by 50% for 6 seconds. You want to use this for some major cooldowns. So if you see someone popping Combust, if you see the Hunt coming towards you, if you see warriors pop Berserk and Wreck or whatever, what do they have? Those are something that you would answer with Survival Instincts. Now, Barkskin is very good. It's only a 20% damage reduction, but it can be used while stunned, frozen, incapped, feared, asleep, and in any shapeshift form. It is very good for when you are getting stunned and drop down. So against RMPs, your usage of Barkskin and Survival Instincts is a lot harder because you're obviously locked down a lot of the time. So you need to make sure that you're not panicking, not overlapping, using the right one at the right time, keeping in mind that you can only use Barkskin when you're stunned. So guys, I think that covers pretty much everything. Again, I'm just going to go through that rotation with you one more time. So from Stealth, we are going to Tiger's Fury, we're going to Rake, we're going to Moonfire, Adaptive Swarm, Feral Frenzy, and then Rip. Then we're going to pop our Berserk and get as many shreds out as we possibly can, making sure that we keep our dots up, and just keep getting those bites out. Any questions, guys? Drop it in the comments below. I'm sorry I keep making all these guides. I've just, as I keep developing, as I keep playing, I'm finding out what flows well and what isn't working so well. And you know, these guides that I've made previously were not really there to be set in stone guides. They were just something to get you on your way so that you weren't feeling clueless in Dragonflight. This for me feels now like it's going to be my set in stone build that I'm going to keep. So yeah, thanks guys, thanks for watching, and thank you for support. I've had a lot of subscribers, a lot of views recently, so that's beautiful. Thanks.